Electricast.
You're the owner of a small business, which means you're also the tech guy, and HR, and personal assistant, and head honcho, and intern. You could use another pair of hands, like the experts you'll find at Verizon's Small Business Days, April 21st through 27th. Get a free tech check, special deals, and more. Call 1-800-483-4428 or visit verizon.com/smallbusiness to book your appointment. Verizon Business.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with my next guest. Today, we're talking with Larissa Russell, a highly esteemed spiritual guide, business mentor, and transformation facilitator, recognized for her mastery in merging creative and intuitive practices with entrepreneurial acumen. As the founder of Heart-Centered Academy, she creates a nurturing environment that promotes deep self-exploration and personal growth. Larissa is dedicated to empowering women to unlock their inner potential, guiding them to align their life and business endeavors with their core spiritual values and intuitive insights. Larissa, I am really excited to have you on with us today, so welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, before we dive into today's topic, I'd love for you to share something from your personal journey that's shaped who you are today, just the woman that you are. It could be a pivotal moment or an experience that's deeply influenced you personally, and then we'll dive into what you're currently doing today.
Yes, absolutely. So I suffered from depression on and off my whole life, and it actually led me to do what I started with when I entered the online world, which was healing with creativity. And through creativity, I was able to help myself through that depression and have not had a bout since. And so that's the huge accomplishment I feel, and have been able to help other women as well with that.
I love that. I've actually talked to someone before about how just using her creative outlet was watercolor painting. And for her, it was a really great way for her to get through her emotional time that she was going through something really traumatic. And in the meantime, she got really good at it and she started selling her work. And so now she's made a business out of it, which was pretty cool. So thank you again for giving us that sneak peek into a little bit about who you are. I want to talk now about what you do because I really love what you are doing. You've built a career focused on merging creative, spiritual, and intuitive practices with entrepreneurship. So can you share a little bit about your personal journey that led to and inspired you to start Heart-Centered Academy?
Yes, absolutely. So, like I said, I started with the healing with creativity, creative you, and with all the things that I was doing, and I collaboration is one of my core values. And so I hosted summits and bundles and all sorts of different things and met some amazing women that, we came together to create mostly summits, healing with creativity summits and things like that. And through all of that, I had a lot of questions about business, how I was doing things, what I was doing. I have books out, I have podcasts, I have all the things, ADHD here. And so all the things. So it's like, well, how do you do that? Why do you do that? Should I do that? And so Creative You Business came from that. And so I had Creative You Healing, working with women in healing with creativity, Creative You Business, in helping them build women who had healing and creative businesses and helping them build their business online. And what I found from that is that unless we do the healing work as women, we can't really be successful in our businesses. We have to do that work. Now, you could be successful in some areas, but to be fully, authentically successful for yourself, you have to be self-aware. You have to do the healing work. And as I realized that more and more, I was spending more time with the women in business because they were willing to put in the energy for themselves. They had a reason for doing the work because they wanted to grow their business. And so as we were doing that, the focus became more on that. We still use creativity all the time as a healing practice, intermixed with community, working together, intermixed with business trainings and all of those different things. And realizing that it was all one, right? The healing and the business, we decided to become Heart Centered Academy. So women's empowerment, healing, and business as well. And it has been absolutely amazing. And our focus is on feminine energies. So intuition, creativity, community, different things that are not the typical way of doing things in this world that we live in, this very masculine energy world that we live in. So yes, we do things a little differently.
I love that. I'm all about community. I think community is a self-care tool. That's for me, I think it's huge because then you don't feel like you're alone on an island by yourself going through life. You can actually have other people in your life who get you, who are kind of like that tribe of people that understand your thought processes, even if you've never met them before, but you're in this community with them and you're in it together and it feels like that collaboration piece, like you were saying. And I love that you use the creative way to heal. I feel like that the inner work really is where the biggest transformations come from doing the inner work. So that when you go out to do anything else, if you go out and do it from that whole place, like that whole you, then I think you have more chance of success. So I love that you do that. So many entrepreneurs, they struggle with the idea of balancing their business goals with their spiritual values. I know that for me in the beginning, I didn't bring I'm very spiritual. And I am a Christian and I bring God into my business. I want him to be a part of it. But I know in the beginning, I kind of struggled with that. Like, this is that life and this is my life. And so, how do you help your clients align their business with their core spiritual beliefs? And why do you believe this alignment is so important?
Oh, it's the essence because they're not separate things. And as women in business, in our own businesses, as entrepreneurs, to be our most authentic self in business, which is actually what sells, right? Authenticity sells. I know they say sex sells, but really it's authenticity. And so to be that, you have to bring your whole self into that. So you can't leave the pieces out that are your core. And spirituality is a core. And whatever your belief system is, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, having that at your core, you will find the people who match that same belief system, same energies. And so what we do, we talk a lot about it. I personally am not a Christian, but we have a lot of Christian women in our community because it's about being ourselves at whatever that is. And so how do we share it? How do we share who we truly are? We really have to uncover what we've been doing that doesn't make us appear, we aren't presenting our most authentic self. And as women, we've been taught to behave a certain way and show up a certain way and do certain things that are not in alignment with who we truly are. So first we have to peel back the layers and start to look at where are we showing up that's not in alignment so that we can then start to bring in the things. What is truly important? And for every person, it's going to be something different. So we have, workshops that we do and we have worksheets that we do, and to be able to start asking those questions. And we have a lot of discussions in our community Our mastermind has live sessions every day. We work together. So, we sometimes have a timer on and we're working on a different project. Sometimes we're discussing things, but we have that community to bounce things off of. And as we start to recognize that it's okay to show up as our true selves, that we've kept hidden in so many different ways, we start to be able to do that more and more to the public, to other people in our lives. And so that's part of it, is just getting to know the other women who are on the journey and then starting to ask the questions, start to dig under. Journaling is a huge thing we do, business mastermind, and yet we journal. We do creative expression, those sort of things to dig under and start to explore.
Yeah. I think it's removing the mask that we have on ourselves because we feel like we're not comfortable. Like you were saying, we're made to believe that we're supposed to be one way in public and one way behind closed doors in our personal life. And I feel like when you have to, it's like you are, I can't even, I guess the best way to say it is like, and this is what just came to me right now. It's like that movie Dirty Dancing where you put baby in the corner. That's kind of like what you're doing to yourself. Like you're not allowing yourself to be true to who you are. And I feel when we don't allow ourselves to have that full expression of who we are, that keeps us from really not reaching that potential that's there. And I know that that's what you're dedicated to doing. Like you want to help women unlock their inner potential. So my next question really comes to that point is like, what are some common blocks that you see women face when they're trying to connect with their true selves? And how do you guide them through that process of self-discovery?
Yes, there's so many limiting beliefs that we've been fed, right? And it's, as women as a whole, we've been fed these. So individually, we might have them at different levels, not being good enough, not being smart enough, not knowing anything about money, having to refer to somebody else for information. I don't know how to do it. I'm a failure. There's just so many of those that we have. And we deep dive into each one. And if we find something as a repetitive pattern in the community, women are talking about something, then we'll start to unpack that, right? And really look at it from underneath. What causes that? And typically, what causes that is how we're expected to be in our society, right? And then if you bring in generational traumas and the rest of it, we've been fed information that is incorrect. So, how do we start to peel that back layer by layer? And, so exploring, first of all, it's like, oh, this might actually be a thing that I do. Oh, okay, yeah, I see where I do it. Start to bring awareness to it. And it's like, okay, how does it feel when I do it? No, it doesn't feel so great when I do it because I'm not being true to myself. Okay, what could I do differently? And so we do a lot of that to explore. So it's not you show up, I tell you something, you go away and everything's fixed. We do a lot of work constantly on all of these things to start to, and we not report back, but we have discussions later about, oh, I did this and this person understood what I was talking about, or I did this and I was really proud of myself because I didn't think I could do it, but I did it. And we celebrate each other and start to work through the things. And once one thing falls into place and it's like, oh, well, if that wasn't true, what else isn't true? And we more and more. And so it's amazing to watch. It's
Yeah.
really amazing to watch. Yeah.
I can imagine that. And also too, like again, that's the power of community, right? Because you're not feeling like you're by yourself going through something. You can actually tell someone or tell the community this is what's happening or this happened to me today, and being able to not only celebrate it yourself but then to re-celebrate it was as other people say, great job, that's amazing. I know how hard that could feel to actually maybe speak up for yourself for the first time because you've been raised to women don't speak up, don't speak their mind. That could be one of those things. As an example, just as an example, my husband was telling me he watches a lot of TikTok. No, I don't watch a lot of TikTok, but my husband, I call him the TikTok king because he just loves watching that things. But some of the things he brings to me, I thought was really interesting. There was a woman who is in her late elderly age. I think she was like 90 or something. And her granddaughter or daughter, someone was taking her to go vote and it was her first time voting. And when she was asked why she'd never voted before, it was because she said her husband passed away the year before and she was never allowed to vote. So that kind of gives you an idea of just like the role, how women are sometimes they're just made to believe or they to follow a specific like way. This is the way you're supposed to be, and not allowing your own voice to be heard. And I think that's really important. Now, I know you talk about intuition. Like I know that's important. And I believe intuition is really important to make decisions. I feel a lot of the time we don't trust ourselves. Again, that I feel comes back to that inner work and healing ourselves so that we actually have the confidence to be more clear around the things that we want. And then having a community like yours to be able to pour into. So, can you share some examples or maybe practical steps that entrepreneurs can take to trust their intuition and let it guide their business decisions?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's such an important part because we always know, right? We always know. But then our head gets in there and it messes with us and tells us all the reason because that's literally our brain's job. Keep us safe. It doesn't like change. It doesn't want anything to be different. So it's going to jump in. So, yes, starting to trust yourself, you have to practice. You have to practice it and feeling where in your body, first of all, where in your body do you feel your intuition? Now, the majority of people feel it in their gut, right? And that's why we often talk about, follow your gut. And they know that there's brain cells in the gut that help rule things. I don't know I'm not a scientist. Learning to trust your intuition is silencing the mind, right? So silencing that brain that is chattering at you. So what is that first feeling that you get when you think of something you want to do or not do, or, someone asks you something? What is that first feeling? Because your brain's going to come in and go, oh, no, 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 no. All the reasons you can't. But that very first feeling you get is the truth because your intuition will never steer you wrong. Your brain will. Your brain lies to you all the time. It's going to tell you all the reasons not. And so to practice that, it's getting silent with self. We meditate, we journal. Sitting with your journal and just doing 6 deep breaths, asking your journal a question, right? You're asking spirit, God, and then immediately write down the answer before your brain gets a chance to kick in. Ask a question, write it down in your journal. You can also just I always say 6 deep breaths but guided meditation, sitting in meditation, but 6 deep breaths can get you there fairly quickly. Slow deep breaths. Don't hyperventilate. And just allow yourself to listen. Ask the question and listen. You'll feel it first, and that's the truth. That is where you should be going. And so we talk about that a lot in our community about listening to that intuition. And when women start to, spin like, I don't know if I should do this or I should do that. What do you feel you should do? That's a question I ask a lot. What do you feel you should do? And they always know the answer. It's like, so why aren't you doing that? Well, because this, and this. Yes, your brain is lying to you. So what do you feel you should do? Do that. And so we talk about it a lot too, right? So that we can start to practice it more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that how you're talking about that, the feeling. It's so true because we can talk ourselves out of things. Like we can be excited about something. It's like going to an event and you're all hyped up about, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to go and do these things. And as soon as you leave the event, your brain starts to kick in. Yeah, but don't you know that if you try this, this is going to happen. You're going to fail, all of these things. And instead of you allowing yourself to expand on how you were feeling and feeling really powerful and actually believing that you could do something, you'll revert back to what the brain is telling you, which is, and it's just trying to keep you safe, right? It is trying to keep you safe, but that's what we have to learn to be actually, like you were saying, take a moment to be silent. I love that. Be silent, ask the question, write it down immediately so you don't allow your brain to start chiming in all of the other things. You can, whatever that looks like afterwards, but let it come out first, because that way you can start seeing that you actually do know what to do. You actually have the skills. And I think that's really important. Because I know with growth, especially if you're trying to personally grow, that comes with challenges, it comes with obstacles all the time. And we can either let the brain talk us out of it, or we can say, you know what, I can actually look back on times that I've done something before and I've actually achieved it. And I have a community of women that I can lean on if I feel like there's some challenges, which is what I want to ask you. How do you help the women that you work with navigate these difficult moments and use them as opportunities for deeper transformation?
Yes. A lot of it is the sharing, right? Being in community and sharing, because we've all had similar stories. We all have similar experiences. And I talk about the cha-cha of life. We take one step forward and two steps back and two steps forward and one step back, because that's how it goes. So understanding the process, understanding why we do the things we do is a big part of it, because we often go through life very oblivious to what's going on within our own self, what's really going on around us. And we're just unhappy or happy or whatever. We only have like 3 or 4 emotions that we actually tap into. But when we start to explore, which we do in community, then we can go, oh, wait a second. Am I truly unhappy with this? Or am I kind of proud of myself, but also a little bit nervous? Or am I, I can feel that I'm maybe a little bit sad about this thing, but also I'm okay. So that exploration together helps with that. And so we do a lot of discussions around things like that. Like I said, we have live sessions every day. We're working on our business, but we're working on ourselves. And so we always have snippets of conversation throughout all of that. And that is a huge part of being able to move forward, is having a community. And a community of women is completely different. And so women in a collective are absolutely amazing. And women who are there to grow and build each other up, they're unstoppable. And so working together that way is a big part of it. And then, tapping into what really is working for you. What are you wanting to work on right now? Because sometimes we have so many external forces around us, and then we get overwhelmed with it. It's like, okay, what do we want to work on right now? What do we want to focus on? Where do we want to move, ideally in the end? But we can't do it all at once. So it's like, where are we going to focus? And sometimes it's relationship things, like, how do I tell my spouse that I'm not making money in my business right now? It's like, okay, well, do you need to? And what could you be doing differently to be making money in your business? And we'll deal with that aspect and different avenues like that, because it's when you're sitting by yourself as an entrepreneur and you're like, nothing seems to be working. Well, is that actually true? Or is this one thing a little bit scary and it's not working? Well, what could I do differently? And so unpacking that with a group of women is amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. So I know that your work, you've talked about merging the creative practices with spiritual growth. Can you explain how incorporating creativity into personal development can help women gain clarity and then foster deeper connection with themselves? Because I know how hard it is to actually say, I'm good with the person that I am, and I'm going to show that person to the world.
Yeah. Creativity, and there's so many different types of creativity, first of all, right? Creativity is in everything we do. And often people think, oh, I'm not creative. If you're a human, you're creative. You just have to figure out what your creative expression is. And we do a lot of artwork, writing, different things like that, but there's many different ways to be creative. And what we do, though, is it's not about painting a picture and having it look like something. It's about the process. And same with writing. We're not writing a book or we're not writing. It's about the process of it, right? So whatever creative expression we're doing, it's all about the process and the discussions that we have around that as well, right? That community again, which is a big part of it. But when we can get into flow state, which we can do with writing, which we can do with painting, coloring, many different creative outlets, it allows us to remove the barriers of that constant brain chatter and expression on the page, and then explore what actually came through. And almost always there's some sort of messages that come through in that. And so then afterwards, it's like, okay, what came for you? And maybe you didn't get a message in it. Okay, why do you think that is? What was happening? Were you in the flow state? Were you thinking about something else? And exploring that again together. And so, yeah, community is a big part of it. We all think we have to do it by ourselves, especially women, right? We think, we have to do it all by ourselves. We don't have to do it by ourselves. We have other amazing women out there who are in the same boat, who are still, struggling with the same things, who just need someone to listen, need to bounce ideas off of, need to explore things with.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, final thoughts. If there was something that you could leave our listeners with, what would that be?
Yeah. You don't have to be like everybody else. In fact, you're better off not being like everybody else. Stand out. Allow yourself to stand out. Be different. And I know that's super scary because that whole survival thing, I'll get kicked out of the tribe if I'm not behaving a certain way. There's 8 billion people on this planet. We have a global network. Be your authentic self and you will find your people. They're out there. There is somebody for everyone. There is a group for everyone. You will find your people. So just be yourself. Allow your true self through. You will be so much happier. It is work, I know, to let that go because we've been ingrained with it since birth, really, to behave a certain way, do a certain thing. And it takes work. But the more you can be yourself, the happier you'll be.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. It has been amazing that you've spent time with me today and sharing your journey, your wisdom, and how you empower women through spiritual alignment and intuitive practices. And I'm really, really excited that you were able to do that. It has been a pleasure hearing how you help your clients tap into their inner potential and live a more authentic life. For anyone who's interested in connecting with you directly and learn more about the incredible work that you're doing through the Heart Centered Academy, your information is in the show notes. So again, Larissa, I really appreciate you being here today and sharing so generously with us. So thank you.
Well, I was very happy to be here and talk to you.
Thank you. And to our listeners, I hope today's conversation has inspired you to think about how you can align your life and business with your core values and intuition. Take these insights and apply them to your own journey. And remember, you hold the power to create a life that feels true to who you are. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.
Why is it that games make us feel so good or completely rage quit? These emotions we feel are mostly not an accident. People like me designed them. I'm Chris Cross, and this is Brain Arcade, a podcast all about the psychology of game design and why games hit us so hard. Each week, I bring on a new guest, designers, psychologists, storytellers, to break it all down with me. If you play, design, or just love games, follow now.
Electricast. Electricast.